Hello, this is Thomas, K4SWL. If you're new here, I like to do real-time, real-life amateur radio field activation videos. And today it's a beautiful day. I'm at the Blue Ridge Parkway Folk Art Center, one of my favorite little spots to hit when I'm just running through town. I have to pass by this place, gosh, twice a day, most days. And it's just like maybe a 3-minute detour for me. So it's the sort of ideal spot to just go out, hit a picnic table, do a really quick activation, and move on. And that's sort of what I'm doing today. Just dropped my girls off at a class, and I've got a few hours. I need to go to the paint store, get some paint for a project I'm doing, and I need to and get some sandpaper and some other stuff, some other supplies, and also stop by Dynamite Roasting, grab some beans, some coffee beans. It's a great roaster, by the way. If you come out here to Black Mountain, actually, is where that roaster is. Looking at some bluebirds are out here already. This feels like spring today. We just came out of a little cold spell. It's warmed up now. I think we're supposed to have pretty warm weather here for the next few days. Unseasonably warm. I'm actually in a short sleeve shirt. It's a little chilly for that, but I'm pretty warm-blooded, I guess. I can deal with that. But today I'm really excited because I am pairing a radio and an antenna I've wanted to pair for a long time. I've got my Penntek TR-45L, or TR-45 Lite, with me. And I love this little radio for a lot of reasons. I mean, you've probably seen my review of it. And the cool thing about it is, one of the many cool things about this radio, actually, is that it's sort of self-contained, you know. Sorry for all the camera noise here. Sort of self-contained. Mine has the Z-Match antenna tuner on the back. It has an internal battery, a huge lithium-ion internal battery in here. In fact, that's the charging port. That's the power port, just for applying, 13.8 volts externally or whatever. Has binding post adapters for, ladder line, and then it has a BNC. So it's really cool. It really does have kind of everything you need to hop on the air. The only thing you do is add an antenna and add a key, and you're done. The antenna I want to use today, let me open up my tripod here so I can show you this. The antenna I want to use today is one I have been using a lot lately if you've been following my videos. It's the AX1. This is the Elecraft AX1 antenna. Actually, it's just this part. I'm going to do 20 meters today, so I just need this and this and my counterpoise. That's really all I need out of this pack. So that's my full antenna kit right there. And the reason why I'm excited about this is it only hit me recently that these would pair well. I, in my head, was imagining the BNC adapter being up a little higher than it actually is. I don't know why I was thinking it was up here and a little higher, and I hadn't tried the AX1 with it. But at the end of the day, the AX1 will fit on here, and the little AX1 bipod will actually hold this pretty steady. Now, I actually do have a way that I can secure it even better, but I'm going to try today without using that. I do have some big, what do they call those, cinch cords or something that I can use to hold it in place if I really need to, but I'm not actually planning to use that today. I think I'll be able to get away with this. It's not too windy or anything. And I just love the idea of using the TR-45L with this antenna, because you look at it, it's like a little lunchbox radio, lunchbox size radio with an antenna coming out. Sort of like if you just had a portable receiver, like from 1970 or something, and you were taking it out in the field, other than the digital display. In fact, what it kind of makes me feel like is when you add an antenna like this to the TR-45L, almost makes it feel a little bit like you've got like a spy radio. You can imagine some spy off in go in some remote location, maybe in a cabin or something, and they need to contact their home office to get their next instructions, and they pull out a little radio like this and bring out an antenna and hook it up, and let's just see if this thing will actually work. So what I'm going to do first, now I have not tried this before. I did, just to prove to myself that it would connect, I did hook up the antenna to the back of the radio, but I haven't done anything more than that. I haven't tried it out, haven't tested it. I will need to tune it. And this does have an internal antenna tuner, like I say. See, it works pretty well. I'll tighten that up a little bit. has an internal antenna tuner. And one thing I was concerned about is that the antenna, if you can see here, the antenna gets really close to this knob, this right knob of the Z-Match antenna tuner. And so that is potentially a conflict, but it's not being a problem right now for me. And make sure that the switch is on 20 meters, because that's where we're going to go today, is 20. Now, the other thing you have to have, and this is something I think people who have problems with their AX1, this is something that they do not check out. And that is, you need to use a counterpoise. And we're very fortunate with the TR-45L that when you put the output to coax or to the BNC connector, it actually grounds the black post of the balance line. Now, I talked to John, WA3RNC, the fellow behind the Penntek series radios, and he actually told me that in some of the very, very early units, sometimes he would ground the red one as opposed to the black one because it didn't really make a difference. But he started consistently grounding the black post on all ones. So if you've got a really early one, you may want to just double check that and make sure. But we should be able to just connect this directly up and make it work. I need to get my glasses on here to see this. Sorry for all the strong shadows and stuff. It is very bright today. Very high contrast day. Oh, yeah, this will work nicely. Now what I'll have to do is probably plug it into one. There we go. So what I'm doing is taking one side of the little spade plug here and putting it in the little hole that's in the post on the top. And that's how it's going to hold it. And I'll know I'm getting a really good ground connection. There we go. There we go. And so I've got this set to coax. I need to set this to tuner to N, I believe. Whoops. Turning this unit around. Move the counterpoise out. So let me go ahead and throw the counterpoise out here. Lately I've been using this in some pretty cold temperatures, and the memory in this line has been sticking. There we go. Okay, now I just have to extend the whip here. I'll do that. That whip's about 4 feet. Now we just have to, and I hope you can see this okay. I know it's not necessarily ideal, but I don't want to move this around too much while I got the bipod on the back and everything. So we're going to turn on the radio. Ooh, I need to get my key out. Let's see here. Today we're going to use the Bengali Traveler. Love this key. So I'm going to put it in the key socket at first because I'm going to probably hold down and use it like a straight key for the matching portion of this. Ooh, getting a little windy. After I said it wouldn't be too windy, it may get too windy. We'll have to see. Okay, here we go. Let's turn this on. Turn down the volume. You probably can't see. There we go. You probably can't see the display, but it's on. It defaults to 14 megahertz. Okay, I got the TX power about halfway, so probably about 3 watts or something. I'm going to put it in reverse so I can read what the match is like. And let's see here. Yeah, so it's a little high right now. So I'm going to try to adjust back here on the back and see if I can make a difference with this. Wait, before I do that, let's move this up to closer to where I want to operate. There we go. That's a little closer to where I want to operate. Let's make sure nobody's here. I'm going to go off frequency a little bit. Okay. Okay. There we go. Perfect match. Perfect match. You can see that there's no red light coming on. I'll wait here for a second. Now this key's gonna slide around a little bit on this table. This table's kind of it is a little slippery. Let's turn it this way just a little bit. There we go. Okay, let me get my logs out. And I will be logging with N3FJP on the side here just to make my log submission a little easier to do. But look at this. It's so cute, isn't it? Okay. Okay. It's not about the way it looks, it's about how it performs, right? So let's just find out how it will perform. Turn it that way a little bit. Maybe you can see it a little bit better, I don't know. Okay, let's move it back to paddles. Oh, you know what I need to do? I need to turn up the power and double check. There it goes up a little bit there. Nah, it's still pretty good. There we go. That even went down further. Perfect one-to-one match. Okay, that's one thing crossed off the list. I was not sure about. Okay, let's move this over to the paddle. Okay, we got RF gain up, we got the TX power up, we got the hear speed roughly where I wanted, I guess. Let's see. Okay, I did schedule this activation, so I'm sorry, I'm going to be in the way of this sometimes when I'm operating here, but it'll just have to be. Thank you once again, Jackie. I'm absolutely loving these paddles. I probably won't take them out to a lot of soda things. It's a heavy paddle, but I do love it. For POTA, it's just about ideal. I'll take it on the soda activation. It actually has a strap to put around my leg, but I probably won't take it where I'm going on a really long hike and I keep weight down. Let's see if the reverse beacon network's working today. Georgia on 20 meters. That's something the AX1 can do. I think I got that right. Okay, I heard a KJ. I need to remember to take a picture. I'm gonna try one more time. I'm not hearing anything. W8 IQ. I'm having to do this on the side. It always makes it harder for me to get this all done. Was that right? Oh wait, no, Indiana. Da-da-da-da. Okay, wait, I hear a WD in there. I recognize his fist anywhere. That's my good friend Eric there. Okay, I hear a park to park in there. Okay. H. K2DPH. Sorry for messing up your call there. I think I heard ND1. Let's see. Okay. I think this may be the AC person I heard earlier. Okay. Glad to get you in there. I think that we must have had some QSB. That's it. Okay, I've been leaving the filter kind of wide because I like doing that. So I'm going to get NS4J next. There we go. Okay, I'm going to have to turn off. So the reason why I turn the filter off, I like keeping my filter kind of wide open, and I've been trying to do that a little bit more on video because I don't mind hearing the things around me, but somebody else is activating near me, which makes it a little confusing. And that's where filters come in handy. I'm realizing this keyer is a little fast, isn't it? Oh, there we go. Oh, I don't have Hazel with me today. Okay, wait. There we go. Well, that's hard to hear. Oh. Okay. So it's really interesting to see some of the close states I've got in here, along with some of the normal 20-meter states. Okay, I think I got a GS in there. I'm gonna have to hop off here soon. I've got to go to the paint store. Okay, I just called QRT right there. Let me make my notes here. 05. This was a really nice run. So a few notes here. A few notes. First of all, I love this. This is so cool. This is like fulfilling my childhood fantasy of being a spy and across enemy lines and pulling out a little radio like this and extending an antenna and making contacts. I love this. So first of all, this is a total of 28 contacts in pretty darn short order, actually, in 30 minutes. So that's almost averaging a contact a minute. In fact, and I just took a little extra time over here with a couple others, which is the reason why it took longer. Park to parks take a little bit longer too. And protocol is with park to parks that you normally send your park, even though knowing that the person hunting you probably has your park number. That's just kind of POTA etiquette that you go ahead and do that. So a park to park usually takes about 2 times longer than a regular contact, almost, by the time you give your park information and all that stuff. If you don't write down a park and you're new to CW, because park numbers, especially if someone's going pretty quickly, park numbers can be a little confusing when you're first getting into CW. Don't worry about it. You don't have to write that down. It is not submitted. The POTA system figures all that out based on the other activator putting in their park information and you putting in yours, and it harmonizes it and it figures out the park to park. So it's just not necessary, but it's nice to get in the practice of copying it when you can. Now this is the cool thing about the AX1 antenna that I try to tell people. I think that compensates for the fact that this isn't a great antenna for probably doing really serious DX. It's not a high gain antenna, it's a compromised antenna. And even though I've done lots and lots of DX with it, it is not a DX choice antenna, right? It's just not. You would want something more like a dipole, or I don't know, just something, a delta loop, a vertical delta loop, you know, for the field to do that. However, what it does do is it gives you states. So I'm in North Carolina, and it gives me states like Georgia, Virginia, Tennessee. I didn't get a South Carolina here, I rarely do, but it gives me these states that are closer in that I normally wouldn't get with a 20 meter antenna on a regular day, and that's what this today is. And then I also get people within my normal 20 meter footprint, which today's on the little shorter side. Actually, it's getting the Mid-Atlantic out to the Ohio Valley. What it was, I think the furthest out I got was Iowa and Missouri. I think those are the furthest west out of these. So really, you know, the bands may be a little short today, but but this antenna will get me these closer states on 20 meters, and I like that. It's almost like it's like an INVIS antenna. So like if you were trying to contact somebody and you wanted to, you know, just have a rag chew with them, and you were out in the field, you could use this antenna if they're just like a state away and really tinker around with bands that are a little higher than you normally would have, because it does give you that propagation footprint for some reason. Another note is you may have noticed that when I first tuned up, I got a 1-to-1 match. When I started operating, you'd see this little VSWR light lighting up just barely. And so first of all, this light tells you when the radio is sensing some standing wave ratio. Now it is sensitive. So like if you get a 1.5 to 1, like right here on the dial, then you're going to see that light light up, even though the radio is pretty happy with that match. Like it's not a bad match. A 1.5 to 1 is a perfectly fine match. This radio can more than handle that, but its job is to be really sensitive. So before I've taken this out on activations and this light's been blinking, and I've had people ask me, well, what I'm really looking at is this meter right here. I want to make sure that my SWR isn't too high. And as long as it's under like 1.5 or so to 1, then I'm fine with that. I don't really need anything better than that. So that's one thing to note. Another thing I've been doing, and actually I've kind of always done this, unless I just start an activation and haven't noticed that my filter settings are different, but normally when I start out, I like to actually have my filter set very wide. I just like doing that. And the reason I like doing that is because I like, when hunters are hunting me, to hunt me slightly off frequency, because it changes the tone and the pitch of their CW signal. And that is a trick for getting through a big pileup, is you just go slightly off frequency, maybe a half are like 0.05 kilohertz or something. You know, just like a little bit off changes the tone of your CW signal instead of it sounding like everyone's zero beating you. There have been times I've been to the field and everyone was using a modern radio and they were zero beating me, or they were just right on my frequency, and it just sounded like one steady tone, because all those combined just to make like one steady tone. And if you're clever and you go just a little off frequency, but not too far off, because if you're hunting, you don't know what the filter settings are on the other person's radio. And if they've got a really tight filter setting and then you move off frequency too much, they may not hear you at all because their filter may have sharp skirts and you may be outside that, right? So you got to keep that in mind. However, when I operate, I actually like to keep my filter settings a little wide. So I'll go with a much wider CW filter setting than most people do. And it's because instead of using the filters to help me hear signals, I prefer training the bit between my ears to do that. I like my brain being a filter for those things. And so lately I've been trying to point that out when I do it, because I'll get questions afterwards like, well, why didn't you engage your CW filter? Or that was way too wide. Well, I like listening to it wide because I think it's better for your ears. I don't mind hearing other signals around me. Now today though, there was an exception to that. I was operating the filter wide open, the widest filter setting that this radio will give you in CW. And I was very comfortable and happy with that. And people were contacting me slightly off frequency, so it was working out really well. However, someone moved in within a half a kilohertz of me, and they were coming in on the band, and they were doing a park activation as well, and they were in sync with me. So I noticed with one of these people, was it here? Was it NS4J? I can't remember. I called, and then I heard somebody off frequency coming back, and they gave me a different state than I was expecting for a 4 state. And I thought, At first I thought maybe NS4J accidentally hit their tuning knob just a little bit or something, and it went slightly off frequency, so their pitch changed, because the pitch wasn't the same as they used to call me. But I kept listening, and then I went ahead and sent the call again, and then he came back with his normal pitch. He just didn't hear me call back to him because of QSB or fading. And so I'm glad I stuck that out and asked him, instead of going back with a signal report to this other station that wasn't even listening to me, because they were actually working a station a half a kilohertz away, probably either at 14061 or 14062. And that's one thing about being in between frequencies, is sometimes that does open up the door to, having stations come in that close to you. But with CW, it's really not a problem. So all I did was I selected the very first RX filter on the TR-45L. It wasn't the tightest one. It was just kind of like probably the closest thing to a 500 or 600 hertz filter, and that completely eliminated the other stations. So that's the reason I used the filter there, is because it was confusing having another park so close to me, right? And actually it wasn't too close. Don't get me wrong. It's perfectly fine in crowded conditions to move a half a kilohertz away from another station that's operating a park. There's nothing wrong with that. Most modern radios have no problem with that at all. I wouldn't get any closer than that. I wouldn't get any closer than a half a kilohertz unless it's contest conditions. And then all bets are off. Everybody's kind of on top of each other. But as a courtesy, you don't want to get too close to someone. But, usually I try to space myself about a kilohertz away, but it's not a problem putting yourself a half a kilohertz away. But that's the reason why I changed the filter from a wide setting to a narrow setting. I'm very pleased with this. I have got to stop gabbing here and get ready. I've got to go grab this paint, get some paint matched, grab the paint, go do some sanding, and then go pick up my daughters again later on today. That is the life of K4SWL. I am basically a chauffeur for my daughters on school days, on some of their school days at least. So yeah, this was a lot of fun, and I love this key. This key is just killer. I really do like it. I think it's, one of my favorite keys for the field, actually. Gosh, it'd be really tough though, I've got to admit. There are things I like about all of my keys. They all have kind of like a little bit of character, and I'm very fond of CW Morse. They're plain old, just 3D printed paddles. And it may be because they are very tactile, like they're kind of basic, they're spring operated. You can change the tension, and they're kind of little indestructible keys, right? And they work really, really, really well for the price. So well for the price that you could buy 4 or 5 of those for the price of a higher end key. And I like using them. I'm very happy with those. I really like the one on the metal base. You've seen me bring that steel base out here. I love it. It has a great action, feels wonderful. which is basically their pocket paddle on a steel base. The SP4 paddles that they came out with that are with N0SA, Larry, that they designed with him, those are incredible. And those are some of my favorite really compact paddles, period. I like them as much as I liked his original soda paddles that he stopped making. I really do love those paddles. I also have the CW Moore CNC machine paddles. They're bigger and heavier and chunkier. But if you've not noticed, someone said that I slap around my key like it owes me money. I thought that was hilarious, because I do that with a lot of my keys. I kind of slap them around, and I'm fine with that. The CNC paddle is one that you can just be really aggressive with that thing. It is built like a tank, and I really do like it. I like that one too. I have the Penntek key, the Bama Key 3, I think is what you call it, and I like that paddle too. I haven't even taken it out to the field yet for a field activation video, but I will do that. It's a bit pricey, but it's a good key. I even like my little touch paddle keys, the pressure sensitive keys. Was it VK3IL designed? I built that, really love it. It actually works really well. And I like the Bengali paddle. This adventure key is just, it's so precision. It just feels, oh gosh, I've got this going. I better stop that. I forgot I've got my radio going still. But it's got a nice precision feel to it. It feels wonderful. The base is chunky and heavy, but when you are taking it away and packing it away, when you close this in, it's not going to get hurt in your bag. It's a very, very, very well built paddle, and I love it. So when people ask me what's the best paddle, that's really, really hard to determine. It depends on how much money you want to spend on it. If you want to spend a little bit of money, there are some incredible paddles out there. If you want to spend a lot of money, there's some incredible paddles. I don't actually know a lot of the higher end paddles, because for field use, I don't really go for super high end paddles, mainly because in terms of CW skill, the paddle is not the weak link. It's my own fist. So I don't have any super high end paddles that I use, as tempting as they would be to get. We'll see if I'm still saying that after Ham Benching this year and I go by the Bengali booth again. But anyway, that's my deal with paddles. I better shut up now and get things going. Thank you so much for joining me. It was so great to take this little radio out with this 4-foot antenna and work all these stations. This was really wonderful. And you better believe I'm going to be doing more of this. I'm hoping to arrange a park-to-park with someone else doing the exact same thing with their TR-45L, and I think that'd be a lot of fun. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you get a chance to go out and play a little radio and maybe even mentor someone who needs it. Just help somebody along. Even a little extra help for someone who's new in the hobby really goes a long way, because it is really confusing when you first get into all this ham radio stuff. So go out there and do your bit for being a good ambassador in amateur radio. Again, thank you so much. And until next time, 7 3s.